another U.S. submarine. Do Marines, hold up, what are Marines and what is the Navy? And are Marines and submarines? Listen, I don't know all the classifications of the military, okay? But we know when the United States get in the water, it's over with. All right? Call it a day. Let's get it.
Ah, yes, that time a single U.S. submarine took on an entire 23-ship convoy by itself.
23.
Today we're talking about the USS Parche and its commander, Lawson Red Ramage, the first submarine commander in U.S. history to earn the Medal of Honor and survive. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Shields.
Can we use that sponsor money for my breast reduction?
What?
Thanks.
I pay to make it bigger. I don't pay for no reduction. Whatever Drake said, man.
There's no ad this week. Moving on. Ramage was born in 1909 and graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy in 1931. And after graduating from the Naval Academy, he would serve on destroyers as an engineering officer, a radio officer, and a navigator. Then in 1935, he decides that he wants to try out to be on a submarine. So he goes in, takes his physical, and fails immediately because his vision isn't good enough because he has an eye injury from when he wrestled in high school. The very second he fails that vision test, he makes a decision. He decides that he's not going to let this stop him from serving on a submarine. In a demonstration of grit and determination, he decides that he is going to take that vision test again tomorrow. And unlike this time, next time he takes this test, he's going to fucking cheat, because if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So as he makes his way out, he instructs a couple of his friends to memorize a different line of the vision test, gets that information from them later, puts the entire thing together, memorizes the entire vision test verbatim, and shows back up the next day ready to take this test again. So he takes the vision test, gets 100%, no problem whatsoever. At this point, the optometrist, the same optometrist from yesterday, is like, I know what you're doing. So he goes over, changes the board, and he's like, okay, now read me that one. At this point, Ramage is like, shit. But he figures, hey, we're already here. We're going to give it a shot anyway. So he covers up his bad eye first, reads the lines the doctor tells him to read.
Okay.
Doctor tells him to switch eyes, and he goes, and recovers his bad eye again, reads the lines the doctor tells him to read. In the back of his head, he's like, I cannot fucking believe that this just worked. And the doctor is like, oh, hey, you passed. You must have just like had a bad day yesterday or something.
Crazy.
And he's like, yeah.
Are we live? Yeah, we live.
Yeah, that was it. Anyways, now he's going to submarine warfare school. So he goes off, gets trained in submarine warfare, does great, ends up getting assigned to his first submarine, the USS S-29. He works there for about 8 months. Then he gets rotated over to Pearl Harbor, where he is the sound and communications officer, working directly under the commander of the entire Pacific submarine fleet. And that is where he is on December 7th, 1941, when Pearl Harbor is attacked, aka the Japanese commit the biggest cardinal sin on the planet,
messing with the boats.
America's boats.
Come on now, we know this.
Don't you dare! If you put one fin on that boat, don't touch the boat. Nemo! He touched the butt.
Yo, one of the craziest military clips is that one where the guy is like, your kids will be raised by somebody. If anybody knows the quote, put it down in the comments.
Poor little guy. He's dead.
So obviously all of America is extremely pissed off, but Ramage is exceptionally pissed because he was actually there at Pearl Harbor when it happened. And here's the catch with that. Right after Pearl Harbor, over half the American surface fleet was temporarily out of commission due to all the damage, meaning that the only answer that America had at this point in time was the submarine fleet. To which Ramage is like, put me on a sub, I want to go get some revenge. So that's exactly what happens. He gets assigned to the USS Grenadier as a navigation officer. They go out and sink 2 Japanese ships right off the bat, and Ramage is awarded a Silver Star for his contribution. So right off the bat, Ramage is obviously doing pretty good. At this point, they decide they're going to give him his own submarine. He becomes the commander of the USS Trout. Okay, now here's the thing with being a commander of a submarine during World War II. You were only allowed to go out with the same submarine and the same crew as its commander for a total of 4 war patrols, because the leadership believed that after 4 war patrols, a commander would either become too reckless or too conservative, and they had to rotate him out. So Ramage goes through his first 3 war patrols, and they are just not going the way that he had hoped. It's not the heroic revenge that he was really looking for. After 3 war patrols, he only manages to sink 3 Japanese ships. And just to be clear, that's not for lack of trying. He goes out and finds a ton of Japanese ships and shoots an abundance of torpedoes at all of them, but every single time that he fires the American Mark 14 torpedo, it either veers off course or it hits, but then doesn't blow up. It becomes very clear to Red Ramage that he, his crew, and the USS Trout are not the problem here. It is the American Mark 14 torpedo. So during their second war patrol, they actually find the Japanese battleship, the Kirishima, and fire 5 torpedoes at it, and all 5 of them veer off course, miss, or are duds. Don't get me wrong, it all works out in the end because the greatest battleship commander of all time, Admiral Willis Ching Lee, ends up sinking the Kirishima with the USS Washington in the greatest battleship versus battleship conflict the world has ever seen. But Red Ramage is still absolutely furious that he didn't get that glory because he should have sank the Kirishima right then and there. So fast forward, Ramage and the USS Trout are on their third war patrol. They go to sink a Japanese cargo ship. They fire 2 torpedoes at it, which is absolutely enough to take out a cargo ship. Surprise, surprise, one of them is a complete dud. And the other one, like, kinda half-ass explodes, but not really, damaging the ship a little bit. And Ramage is just absolutely furious with the situation altogether. At this point, he's on his...
But he's only three confirmed destructions, and my man was on point for at least 5 or 6. I'll be mad too, man.
War Patrol, he's only sank 2 ships so far. He is absolutely sinking this cargo ship. He doesn't care what it takes. He orders his crew to surface the USS Trout. Everybody runs out on the bridge and starts opening fire on this cargo ship with 50 caliber machine guns, anti-aircraft guns, and the 3-inch deck gun on the submarine. This is not how you're supposed to conduct submarine warfare, but also the torpedoes are supposed to fucking explode, so whatever. So they roll up on this cargo ship on the surface, firing at it the entire time, get within like 500 yards of it, and then shoot 2 more torpedoes at it, blowing it up and sinking it immediately. This is basically the naval equivalent of an execution. Then he finishes out the third war patrol, goes back to Pearl Harbor, in person, goes to his chain of command, and is like, look, these torpedoes are garbage. Exactly. They do not work. We have to do something about this. And his chain of command tells him to his face, the torpedoes work. You just don't know how to aim. This is your fault, not ours. To which point Ramage basically just throws his arms up in the air because there's literally nothing he can do other than just do his job and keep failing because his chain of command refuses to listen to him. So that's what he does. He goes out on his fourth war patrol. On his fourth war patrol, he shoots 15 torpedoes. All 15 of them are misses and duds. And the worst part is, remember I said earlier, you only get 4 war patrols as a commander before you're labeled as too conservative or too reckless. Well, because on his 4th war patrol, Ramage didn't manage to sink any Japanese ships, he is labeled as too conservative, despite the fact that he shot almost every torpedo he had and they were all just duds. I mean, Ramage literally just did a drive-by execution with a submarine on his last war patrol, yet somehow they're gonna call him too conservative, which serves to infuriate him even more because he takes it like they're basically calling him a coward. But hey, there's absolutely nothing he can do about it. So he heads back over to Pearl Harbor, then they send him all the way over to Maine where he is to oversee the completion and commission of his new submarine, the Baleo class USS Parche. So that's exactly what he does. Goes over to Maine, watches some people finish building his submarine, goes through a couple of sea trials, passes, gets it commissioned, and now he has to sail it all the way from Maine back over to Pearl Harbor before he can get back into this fight. And by the time he gets back to Pearl Harbor and gets out on his first war patrol with the USS Parche, it is now March 1944. Okay, real quick, I need you to understand a ton has changed between early 1942, right after Pearl Harbor when Ramage was first commanding submarines, and now mid-1944. First off, the good news, they fixed the fucking torpedoes and those actually work now because apparently everybody else that came after Ramage had the exact same issue and the naval committees tried to fight it off saying that everybody had bad aim. And
I'm pulling back. Hey, you said them torpedoes work, big fella. What happened? Everybody else having it. Okay, that's what I thought. I need my apology. That's it.
Eventually, due to overwhelming evidence, they were forced to accept the fact that these torpedoes actually sucked, and this is now a pretty much universally and historically accepted fact. So, Ramage was right all along about the whole torpedo thing. Now, the bad news, kind of. After the torpedoes started being way more effective, the Japanese started doing what America was doing over at the Atlantic when they were getting attacked by the German U-boats. They started having convoys of all their cargo ships that were being defended by an escort of naval ships that would fight off the submarines, and now Japan is doing that. So America copied what Germany did, and they are now sending out submarines as groups in wolf packs to hunt down these convoys together. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the majority of submarine commanders are not happy about it because they liked the idea of going out there alone, being in complete control of the situation, and having command over everything and everyone around them. And now they have 2 other submarines that they have to worry about, and each wolf pack has its own commander over the entire operation, as well as each submarine having its own commander. And the wolf pack commander is on somebody else's submarine, so one of the 3 subs in the wolf pack is going to have this weird power dynamic where there's like the overall mission boss there, but that guy's not in control of the sub, but he kind of is because he's in control of the whole operation, and it just makes the whole situation awkward. So Red and his new ship, the USS Parchi, go out on patrol, and they're with the USS Bang and the USS Tenosa, and things are already looking up. In their first patrol, the Wolfpack sinks 5 ships, and the Parchi is credited with 2 of them. The second war patrol, however, shit's gonna get a little bit out of hand because Red, Ramage, and the USS Parch draw the short straw, and they have to have the Wolfpack commander on their submarine, creating an awkward power dynamic between Lawson, Red, Ramage, the commander of the USS Parch, and the commander of the Wolfpack, Lou Parks. And they pretty much immediately get off on the wrong foot because Lou Parks shows up and is like, hey, let's call our Wolfpack Parks' pirates because I'm Lou Parks, I'm in charge, and you guys can be my pirates. It'll be great. To which Ramage is like, I'm not playing second fiddle to anybody. Hear me out. What if we call our Wolfpack the Headhunters because I'm a redhead and the other 2 submarines are the USS Hammerhead and the USS Steelhead, and Headhunters.
See, that's real camaraderie right there. I'm gonna come up with a name that involves everybody. All right, other man, he was in there for the glory. All right, let's name it after me. You can't, you have to get them people off your team.
Sounds way cooler than pirates. So they're already not getting along, but regardless, they get underway, they get the second war patrol kicked off, and they're going to go take the fight to the enemy. So July 30th, 1944, like 8 o'clock at night, the USS Parchi gets a radio transmission from the USS Steelhead. Hey, I found an enormous convoy of Japanese ships. We should attack them. To which Ramage is like, absolutely, I've been looking to get into a good firefight for a while now. Let's go. And he takes off full steam ahead straight towards that convoy. So originally the USS Parchi was like 30 miles away. They've been traveling at full speed for hours, like 3 hours now. They still haven't seen a single thing. Ramage wants to radio back over to the USS Steelhead, who's supposed to be tracking the convoy, and be like, hey, did they change course? What's going on? We should have intercepted them by now. Lou Parks, on the other hand, is like, no, that's not the protocol. We need to maintain radio silence and just keep going potentially the wrong way until somebody else gets a hold of us.
See,
so Ramage and Lou are button heads. They have a fight. Eventually, they end up radioing over to the USS Steelhead, and the USS Steelhead is like, yeah, they changed course hours ago, and you guys are like way off course, headed the wrong direction. So now Ramage is pissed off that he wasn't allowed to make that radio transmission a couple hours prior, and he's like, you know what? I'm just going to start giving orders, and I'm going to go over Lou Parks' head. This is my sub. I'm just going to do this. So that's exactly what he does. Gets the new coordinates, takes off towards that convoy. USS Parchi finally catches up. Now, just so we're all on the same page, these are diesel-powered submarines in World War II. They travel on the surface at night. They submerge during the day. While they're on the surface, they are significantly faster and way more maneuverable. And since this is nighttime, they are traveling on the surface. So the USS Parchi radios over to the USS Steelhead, and they're like, hey, we're here. We can't really see anything. There's like no moonlight out on this particular night. It's just pitch black absolutely everywhere. To which the USS Steelhead is like, okay, cool. If you're close, we're going to start our attack run, and then we can just figure it out from there. So the USS Steelhead goes to engage the convoy. Now, these Vallejo-class submarines have 10 torpedo tubes, 6 in the front, 4 in the back. USS Steelhead approaches, fires its 6 front torpedo tubes, does a U-turn, fires the remaining 4 out the back as it's driving away. It then goes, submerges, and leaves. It is a textbook submarine attack. You blow your load, and then you run. Okay, you skeet and retreat, you ejaculate, and you evacuate. The USS Steelhead is out. They fired 10 torpedoes.
Yo, no, hey, we gotta write those down. You know what I'm saying?
All of them were hits. They sank 2 ships.
That was good. You ran up on a whole fleet. Fa. And you got up out of there.
And damaged 1 more, and now the entire convoy is on high alert. They shoot up star clusters, flares, lighting up the entire ocean so they can see absolutely everything, and now Ramage can see them too. So Ramage is out on the bridge of his submarine with his binoculars, looking as the sky lights up from all these flares that the Japanese have just shot up, trying to find other ships. And if you don't know, the bridge is like literally outside. He's standing outside on top of his submarine with a pair of binoculars, looking at this convoy, and it is a massive convoy. It's got like 6 destroyers guarding like 17 cargo ships, and all the destroyers are peeling out, and they're coming to hunt down.
How many?
Looking at this convoy, and it is a massive convoy. It's got like 6 destroyers guarding like 17 cargo ships.
That's
and
crazy.
All the destroyers are peeling out, and they're coming to hunt down any other submarines that are out there. they're coming for him. At this point, Ramage are like, cool, the destroyers
6v1?
left their formation, fanning out to come find him. He's going to use this opportunity to slip past them, make his way towards the cargo ships, and blow those up. So he goes into an evasive maneuver that he calls the reverse spinner, basically a 270-degree turn, making it appear to the destroyers as though he's running away, but he turns so tight and it's so dark out there that they lose track of him, and he actually goes right past them towards the cargo ships. Now, Ramage doesn't know this yet, but as they're performing this super tight turn evading the destroyers, the entire cargo ship convoy changes their course and goes towards him as well. So when he comes out of this 270-degree turn, he is actually in the middle of this cargo ship convoy formation. He is now completely surrounded in the middle of this cargo ship formation. Nobody knows he's there, and he is literally so close to these cargo ships that he can't fire on the majority of them because they are within like 200 yards, and that's not enough time for the torpedoes to even arm. So now, this is just
crazy.
an unforeseen turn of events. He's so close that he can't actually hurt those ships, but the bright side, he's actually kind of being protected by the cargo ships as well, because now the destroyers aren't going to be able to penetrate through that formation to come get him. So it's this super awkward, silent moment. Nobody really knows what to do, and Ramage is like, okay, fine. I'm going to go forward, I'm going to do a U-turn, and then I'm going to fire at one of the ships from behind. So that's exactly what they do. They maneuver deeper into the formation, they get enough distance on one of the ships to be able to fire 2 torpedoes, and
sink it.
They fucking miss. So they are in the middle of this cargo ship formation. They have fired 2 torpedoes at one of the ships, but because they missed, nobody has any idea that they're there yet, still. Now, at this moment, one of the men on the bridge with Ramage points out, oh shit, there's 2 aircraft carriers over there, as he points to the other side of this convoy formation. And it is at this moment Ramage has to make a decision. He can take what is potentially a pretty easy win and shoot off a couple of these cargo ships that are on the fringe of this convoy formation, or he can take this opportunity while nobody knows he's there, penetrate deeper into this formation, and potentially take out 2 aircraft carriers, which is like the #1 priority ship to take out during World War II. He decides he's going to go for it. He maneuvers a submarine further and further into this convoy formation, and as he gets closer to these aircraft carriers, he figures out they're not actually aircraft carriers, they're oil tankers, but that is still a major objective to take out. At this point, Frank Alcorn, the torpedo officer in the conning tower, is like, hey, I've been keeping track of that first ship that we missed. We're perfectly lined up on the stern side to take a shot at it with another torpedo. Do you want to do it? Ramage is like, absolutely, take the shot. They fire a single torpedo and score their first hit of the night. Then he turns his attention back to the tanker. They fire the 4 remaining torpedoes from the front at this tanker. All 4
that wasn't their first hit,
the tanker immediately.
It wasn't their first hit when they fired at the destroyers that were guiding it and then got up out of there. Wasn't that their first hit, or was that a different part of the what they call the headhunters? Huh?
At this point, all hell breaks loose as the Japanese realize that there is a submarine inside of their formation, as the cargo ships begin veering off, trying to make room for the destroyers and the destroyer escorts to penetrate the formation to be able to take out the USS Parchi. And you have to remember, Ramage only has 3 torpedoes left, and they are all on his stern side, so he orders a tight U-turn as they get the ass end of the submarine lined up with that second tanker, which unbeknownst to them at the time, is actually the Oguru Maru, the flagship for the entire convoy, with the convoy commander on board. They get it lined up and fire their 3 remaining torpedoes. They have 1 miss and 2 hits, bringing that flagship to a limp, almost a complete stop, critically damaging it. And that's it. That's the end of it, right? I mean, the torpedo tubes are empty. The only thing left to do is submerge and make a clean getaway.
They didn't,
but apparently not today. As the USS Parchi comes under heavy machine gun fire from the escorts and the destroyers trying to defend the convoy, Commander Ramage decides that he's going to do some gangster shit. He orders everybody off the bridge, including his boss, Lou Parks. Just
ordering your boss is crazy.
Of, go wait in the car, I'll handle this. As everybody on the bridge makes their way back down into the submarine, Ramage points out the quartermaster, you're staying with me. I need somebody to be my witness. Basically, just stand in the corner and yell World Star while I do this. It is now just Commander Ramage and this
Hey, you know how crazy it is? You getting fired upon. Everybody get out of here. And you're that one person. Y'all ever seen Money Heist? When Berlin told the girl, no, you're staying with me, honey. While he was, hey, man. But he did say, look, all you got to do is watch. Hey, I'm about to start cooking. Just hold the camera up. All right?
Master on the bridge taking machine gun fire as Ramage orders his crew to refill the torpedo tubes, which I cannot stress to you enough is absolutely unprecedented. Literally no one has ever tried this in combat in US Navy history at this point in time. And a lot of you are probably like, well, what's the big deal with reloading a torpedo tube in the middle of combat? I mean, people reload guns in the middle of combat all the time. Yeah, they reload guns. This is not the same thing, okay? These torpedoes are 20 feet long and weigh 3,000 fucking pounds, okay? This is like 10 grown men about to give themselves hernias while they're using winches and hoists and all kinds of machinery and shit to load these gigantic explosive metal dicks into a tube to shoot at the enemy. This is not something that you want to be doing on the surface of the ocean, period, getting knocked around by the waves, but you especially don't want to be doing it in the middle of combat while you're getting shot at on the surface. And now the crew is also trying to reload these enormous torpedoes while they're performing evasive maneuvers, but somehow they manage to get 2 torpedoes up in a matter of like 4 minutes, which I cannot stress to you enough is absolutely
that adrenaline
incredible.
was rushing.
Ramage then immediately lines up the front of the USS Archie with the first ship he sees, fires both torpedoes, 2 hits, sends it to the bottom of the ocean. Then Ramage does a tight U-turn and doubles back towards the flagship, which is now basically dead in the water, waiting for his men to reload more torpedoes. As he gets closer and closer, the torpedoes still aren't up yet, and that's when he gets an idea. He pulls the submarine right up to the ass end of the Ogura Maru, basically hiding behind it from all the other gunfire because these ships don't want to fire on their own flagship. You could literally reach out from the USS Parchi and touch this ship is how close they were. He got it so close that the guns on the Ogura Maru couldn't actually shoot at it, and he's just sitting there waiting, hiding behind their own flagship. Then a couple minutes later, he gets word that there are 3 torpedoes up on the stern side. He peels off in a hard right, accelerates away, lines up the ass end of the sub up with the flagship, fires 3 torpedoes, sending it to the bottom of the ocean. In all the commotion and the darkness of night, the Japanese lose track of where the USS Parchi is, and now it's just out in the middle of the formation in the darkness as spotlights are searching for it everywhere, as Ramage scans around looking for his next target, and he's looking and he's looking and he's totally in the zone trying to figure out the next most important target that they can take out while his crew is down below reloading more torpedoes. Ramage is so in his own headspace and he's the only man on the bridge besides a quartermaster that he doesn't manage to notice that there is a gunship headed straight towards him attempting to ram him and cut the USS Parchi in half. The quartermaster, the only other man on the bridge that could see this coming, tries to get Red's attention but he can't, so he yells down into the sub that they're about to be rammed. And at this point the helmsman, Chet Stinton, takes matters into his own hands and he orders full speed ahead. He doesn't know what direction he needs to go, but he knows that being up to speed when he finds out is going to make all the difference. Moments later, Ramage sees a gunship bearing down on them. Oh shit, and he orders full speed ahead, but his crew's already done it, and now it's just a matter of waiting to see if they're going to make it as the gunship gets closer and closer as the USS Parchi desperately tries to get out of its way. As the collision course of the gunship passes the midline of the USS Parchi, Commander Ramage orders a hard right, kicking the ass into the sub out of the way as the gunship and the USS Parchi drive right past each other, headed opposite directions. And as they pass one another, Commander Red Ramage looks over at the control tower of the gunship and tips his cap in a
yo, son is like that, right? Hey, to look like, hey, you almost got me, but watch what I'm about to do to you, right?
complete gangster move as he makes his way towards his next target.
Alas, my children, this is the day you shall always remember as the day that you almost... Captain Jack Sparrow.
Commander Ramage regains his bearings and he is now out of the frying pan and into the fire because he is boxed in by a ship on either side and there is an enormous troop transport headed right at him, and if they meet in a head-on collision, Parchi is not going to win. So he does the only thing he can do. He slows the ship down, trying to buy more time before this collision as his men frantically try to reload the torpedo tubes at the front of the USS Parchi. They get 2 torpedoes up moments later and he fires them immediately, which is absolutely not ideal to be firing torpedoes at the front of a ship. They could glance off the side. True. It's a smaller target to hit. It's just ill-advised altogether, but it's the only option that they have. And as fate would have it, both torpedoes would hit, bringing this enormous troop carrier to a screeching halt, dead in its tracks. This gives Ramage just enough room to shoot the gap, breaking out of the Japanese convoy formation, and as they cross the midline of this troop carrier, they make another hard left,
shoot one
lining
out
up
the back.
the ass end of the sub up as the crew gets one last torpedo up and ready to fire at this troop transport. And as the USS Parche makes its getaway, putting distance between itself and the Japanese convoy, it fires that last torpedo, sinking that Japanese troop carrier with over 5,000 troops on board, where over half of those men would be lost at sea. At this point, the USS Parche is absolutely going to make a clean getaway, and Ramage knows that as he looks back and watches the
2,500 people
escorts
out
and
of there. That's
destroyers
crazy.
try to chase him down before he gets ready to go back below deck so they can submerge. One of the destroyers, using its signal light, signals to Ramage, "Who are you? What's your name?" To which I presume the quartermaster is like, "Why do they want to know your name?" And Ramage is like, "Because their officers are going to have a lot of paperwork to do." As they go back below deck, the USS Parche submerges. They make their clean getaway after 34 minutes of combat, where the USS Parche fired a record-breaking 19 torpedoes and sustained virtually 0 damage in return. So Red Ramage, the crew, and the USS Parche all make their way back to Pearl Harbor to prematurely end their second war patrol, which they kind of had to do considering they just shot virtually all of their torpedoes. And by the time they make it back to Pearl Harbor, the entire Navy has heard this story, and they're starting to call it Ramage's Rampage, and they are actually...
See, this how you know you great. When you great, you ain't got to name things after you, okay? The first commander officer, he was like, I don't even remember his name. You know what I'm saying? He was like, hey, let's call this his name, insert pirates. And Ramage was like, hey, big fella, you're getting a little bit too big for your britches. Let's calm down. A little bit too much dip on your chip, okay? So we're going to name it the Headhunters, all right? He could have said the Ramage Patrol or the Ramage Rampagers or something, all right? He didn't even have to do that. He got in there, cooked up, whipped up real quick, and then he get home, and the people will name it for you. It was called Ramage's Rampage by the time he got back to the crib. He ain't even opened his mouth. When you do great things, you know what I'm saying? The people know, okay? And you earn your name. You ain't got to say your name. You going to earn your name. You feel me? Boys
Greeted at the dock by the Rear Admiral in command of the entire Pacific.
Let's hear it one more time. What was the name?
Back to Pearl Harbor. The entire Navy has heard this story, and they're starting to call it Ramage's Rampage.
Come on.
And they are actually greeted at the dock by the Rear Admiral in command of the entire Pacific Submarine Force, Rear Admiral Charles Lockwood.
That's fire.
And he credits the USS Parche with sinking 5 enemy ships for a total of 34,000 tons. Now, to be perfectly intellectually honest, that is what they were originally credited with sinking. Later on, a committee that was comprised 100% of people that weren't fucking there got together, and they decided that they didn't think that he actually sunk that many ships. Now, bear in mind, this is the same type of committee that also said that the Mark 14 torpedo was perfectly fine, and everybody else just had bad aim. So this committee, in its infinite wisdom, gets together, and they decide that Commander Ramage, the USS Parche, and its crew only managed to sink 2 enemy ships during their entire 34-minute battle, where they shot 19 torpedoes at like point-blank range.
That's crazy.
But whatever. That's what's on some of the official records, but everybody knew the real truth. And for that reason, Commander Lawson P. Red Ramage was awarded the Medal of Honor and became the first submarine commander to do so and survive. And Ramage 100% credited his survival to his crew, and he felt that his Medal of Honor was just as much theirs as it was his. And for that reason, he made a certificate and gave it out to every single man in his crew, and it read as follows, quote, "The captain wishes to emphasize the fact that the Medal of Honor was accepted from the President of the United States as the nation's tribute to a fighting ship and her courageous crew. He feels every officer and man whose loyal cooperation and able assistance contributed to the success of the USS Parche has an equal share in this award, which he holds in trust for you with pride and respect. Sincerely, LP Ramage." In conclusion, this has been the story of Ramage's Rampage, an awe-inspiring tale of both leadership and teamwork, as well as a cautionary tale of the lengths that a single American will go to whenever somebody fucks with America's boats. Stop touching the boats. I can give you endless amounts of examples, and somebody's still gonna do it, okay? Just don't.
No touchy. No touchy.
Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
Hey, listen. What's the coldest part of what he did to y'all? I'm gonna let y'all know mine. When he spun past the ship that was trying to cut him in half, and you look up and be like, hey, look, I see you. Anybody who's ever played a sport, played Uno, you ever had somebody pull out some card on you, and you know, like, all right, they hit you with a reverse right before you about to win. They think the person next to you about to hit you with a draw 2, draw 4. Matter of fact, let's put it in draw 2. They about to hit you with a draw 2, but your last card is a draw 2, and they get smacked with it. Come on, man. You Uno out and watch them. That's why I feel like he did right there. They thought they had him dead to rights. My man spun that tail around and was like, hey, you tried your hardest. It wasn't good enough. Okay?
Nobody listens. I mean, in 1941, somebody touched America's boats and we invented a fucking portable star to get our revenge. I don't even want to know what they have now.
Yo, what is that back there? Yo, that boy had the
star to get our revenge. I don't even want to
Yo, what is that? What is that?
know what they have now.
Listen. Hey, this was a banger. This was a banger. Facts. All right, facts.